Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, or if this is your first time here, welcome to my channel and welcome to today's video. So really quickly before we jump into today's video, I want to apologize for a few things. My house is so extremely hot right now, and 99% of the rooms in my house don't have air conditioning, the room that I'm in being one of them. So I have both the windows open in this room, and it's a pretty breezy day outside, so I'm really hoping that the wind isn't too loud and just like the noises from outside in general aren't too loud and too distracting. So I'm really sorry for the background noise that you're probably gonna hear throughout this video, but if I didn't have the windows open, I would probably sweat to death. Also, as the video goes on, my face is probably going to get increasingly red, just because, like I said, it is so hot in my house. I'm already dripping sweat. You can't really tell right now, but I'm dripping sweat, and we are like 1 minute into filming this video. So I'm going to try and talk as quickly as I can just so I can get this video done as quickly as I can, so I'm not sitting in this super hot room for too long. So yeah, please excuse like the background noise, the breeze, the fact that my face is gonna get red and I'm probably gonna start sweating. I hope that all those things combined aren't too distracting and you guys can still enjoy today's video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about all things related to baby sleep. I have twin, not really newborn anymore, twin infant boys. They're 22 weeks old. And I'm just gonna go through kind of how we got them on the same sleep schedule, how we got them sleeping through the nights, how we sleep train them, just different things we did for their sleep. And throughout this video, I will be touching on some products that I love to use to help them sleep, just all things related to baby sleep. I kind of broke this information up into chunks of weeks. So that's how I'm going to be breaking down all this information. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Like I said, I'm so sorry for the background noise you'll probably hear and the fact that I'm going to be sweating my butt off in this video, but I hope you guys enjoy. So with that being said, let's get into the video. Okay, so I have all my talking points on my computer down here. So if you see me look down, that is what I'm looking at. So like I said, we are going to be talking about all things sleep. So we're going to start with weeks 0 to 4. That is the first chunk of time I'm going to be talking about. And of course, in the newborn phase, especially when you bring the babies right home from the hospital, you don't really have too much trouble getting them to sleep because for the first few weeks of their life, all they really do is sleep. So weeks 0 to 4, we didn't have too much trouble with them sleeping. The only thing that we had trouble with was the boys absolutely hated their bassinet. I had the twin halo bassinet, and I remember night one being home from the hospital, they absolutely hated it and they were up screaming all night. Now I don't know if that's attributed to the fact that my milk didn't really come in at that point, but that first night home was traumatizing to say the least. It was really, really difficult. So we did sleep them downstairs in the living room for probably the first 2 weeks of their life, and they actually slept on the couch with me. We have a really big chase lounge to our couch, and I put pillows all around that chase lounge and laid blankets down and had the boys sleep on that with me next to them. That was the only way we could really get them to sleep until we ordered the Dockatots. Now, one of the programs that I did use to help get the boys to sleep was the Taking Care of Babies newborn sleep class. Taking Care of Babies is a blog. The woman who runs it, her name is Kara. She has a blog, but she also has an Instagram platform that she has a bunch of resources on. Aside from her blog and the resources that she has on her Instagram, she does have actual sleep courses that you can purchase. One for the newborn phase, so 0 to 12 weeks. Then she has a 3 to 4 month one, and then she has one for 5 months to 24 months. So I did purchase the newborn sleep class, but I didn't purchase that until about 4 weeks, until the boys were about 4 weeks. And in that program, it does explain how sleeping in the Dockatot is actually not safe sleep. It's not made to be a sleeper. It's not made to go in the bassinet. It is made to be a lounger. But unfortunately, I guess I wouldn't say unfortunately, but Harris and I did wind up having the boys sleep in that Dockatot. We were, of course, as safe with it as we could be. And once the boys started to really outgrow it, we did take them out. But we did have to use that. It's just what worked for our family and what worked to get our twins to sleep. Otherwise, they really wouldn't sleep in the bassinet. And we did try like various times to get them to sleep in the bassinet without the Dockatot, and they just didn't like it. So we did use the Dockatot. I know that it's not safe sleep, but it did work for us. I know a lot of other people that have their baby sleep in a Dockatot or like a Snuggle Me Organic, some kind of baby product like that. So I'm not shaming you. Kara does not shame you if you do use these things. She actually has a lot of resources about weaning your baby out of those things and different blog posts about that. But I just want to let you guys know that if you do have a Dockatot, it's not considered safe sleep to have them sleep in it at night. But Harris and I did have to have our boys sleep in it, because if not, they just wouldn't sleep. So we got those Dockatots in about week 3, and they actually slept in those until they were 13 weeks old. I know. So like I said, around week 4, we purchased Kara's newborn sleep class, and I will link her Instagram down below if you guys want to check that out. Like I said, you do have to purchase her sleep courses, but she has so many blog posts, so much information and resources on her Instagram that are free that it's not 100% necessary to buy the course. But if you guys are interested in it, I will leave like her blog, her website, and her Instagram down below for you guys to check out. So we did buy that around week 4, and we started implementing all the things that she talked about in her class with the boys. One of the things she talks about is swaddling your baby and the benefits to swaddling your baby and kind of the science behind swaddling your baby. And so around week 4, we started to really swaddle the boys. At first, we just used muslin blankets, I think that's what they're called, to swaddle the boys. But around weeks 6 or 7, I think, we actually ordered these Swaddle Me Swaddles from Bye Bye Baby. They're also available on Amazon and a whole bunch of different platforms. I will link those down below if you guys are interested. I will link every product I talk about down below if you guys are interested. But we started swaddling the boys around 4 weeks, and they were swaddled all the way up until like 2 weeks ago. And I think swaddling really changed the game. I definitely understand more so now why you swaddle your baby after what Kara has to say about it. So we did start swaddling them around 4 weeks old. Around weeks 6 to 10, by the way, we are in the 4 to 12 week category right now. I don't think I mentioned that, but around weeks 6 to 10, we actually hit a really rough patch with the boys and their sleep. It seemed like the boys were up every hour, needing to be like consoled. Like I had to pat them, I had to hold them some nights for hours on end and have them sleep in my arms, me sitting up in bed and be awake with them. It was really rough there for about a month, and to me, I felt like there was no end in sight to that rough patch, and I just felt like my boys were never going to sleep. And one boy didn't have more of a difficult time than the other. It seemed like they both were equally having a difficult time going to sleep, staying asleep, anything like that. I felt like we were hitting such a rough patch, and I definitely lost a lot more sleep during the 6 to 10 week period than I did when they were like first newborns. Even though during the 6 to 10 week period we weren't feeding them as frequently, when they were like 0 to 4 weeks old, maybe even up until 6 weeks, they were eating every 3 hours in the middle of the night. But I think around weeks 8, we dropped the dream feed for them, and again, this is something that Kara talks about. We were waking the boys at 10 p.m. So we were feeding them at 7 and then waking them at 10 p.m. to feed them and then put them down, and then I myself would go to bed at 10 p.m. And the idea behind a dream feed is to align their longest stretch of sleep with your stretch of sleep. So I thought feeding them at 10, we would get a long stretch of sleep and I would be able to sleep more, but we actually found that that dream feed wasn't really helping, and around 8 weeks we did drop it. So the boys were being fed around 7:30, and they were going till 2 a.m. and that's the stretch of time that they were going. If they fell asleep at 10, they were only going until 2 a.m. So we dropped that dream feed around week 8. But like I said, even though we were feeding them less frequently in the middle of the night, I felt like I was getting up more because they were waking up every hour, on the hour. One would go to sleep, the other one would wake up. I would be holding them and rocking them and shushing them and trying to get them to go back to sleep. I really hit a rough patch, even though I was implementing everything that was in the newborn sleep class, which did make me feel like I was failing in the newborn sleep class. But there was a brighter side to all of that, and at about weeks 10, 11, and 12, we started to see a big improvement in the way the boys were sleeping. We probably around like week 12 had dropped the boys 2 a.m. feed, and they were actually going until 4 a.m. So we would feed them around 7:30 at night, put them down to bed, and they were sleeping all the way until 4 o'clock in the morning, which was definitely a lot better than what it was. But because the boys were sleeping in our room, we have a skylight in our room and we don't have blackout blinds in our room, just because I feel like even if we did have blackout blinds, the sun would still come in through the skylight. The boys were kind of waking up at like 5:30 because it was starting to get light in our room. So even though they were sleeping all the way till 4 o'clock and eating, the sun would start to rise and they would have a difficult time either falling back asleep, or they weren't staying asleep until 6-7 o'clock, which was when they were supposed to have stayed asleep until they were supposed to wake up around 7 o'clock to eat again. They really weren't doing that because the sun was coming in our room. So once that started to happen, Harris and I really wanted to get the boys into their own room so that they could use their blackout blinds, because at this point we had bought blackout blinds for the boys' room and we actually started napping the boys in their room. I would say around weeks 8 or 9 maybe, we started to nap the boys in their room twice a day, just so that they can get used to the environment and get used to being in their room and just, you know, sleeping in their crib without the Dockatot, just like get used to everything. So we started sleeping them in their rooms for 2 naps a day around weeks 8 or 9, so that when it was time to move them in their rooms, they were comfortable in that space. And so when we started having trouble with them waking up too early in the morning, we went ahead and ordered baby monitors. It was a whole process in and of itself to get baby monitors, which I talked about in a lot of different vlogs. But we ordered baby monitors around week 13, and I don't even think they came in, or maybe we had trouble ordering them. I don't really remember, but all I know is we didn't get the boys into their own room until around week 18, I believe. So during the time period when we were waiting for their baby monitors to come in and we were getting ready to transition them into their room, the boys actually wound up dropping their 4 a.m. feed, and this happened around week 13. I woke up one morning and it was like 7 o'clock in the morning, and it was the best feeling in the world. And it really kind of happened very quickly. We didn't have too many nights after that where they went back to waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning. It got pretty consistent very quickly. And so around week 13, they started to sleep through the night till about like that 5:30, 6 o'clock time, just because it was getting light in our room, and I think that was waking them up. But around week 18, we got the cameras in. They were sleeping through the night. Harris and I felt it was time to get them in their own rooms, and we did. Around week 17, 18 is when we moved the boys into their own room. And this is when our sleep training began. And I say like sleep training like this because we really didn't need to sleep train the boys all that much once they got into their own room. I think the newborn sleep class that we used weeks 0 to 12 really laid a great sleep foundation for the boys for when they went into their own room. It really wasn't difficult at all. At this point in time, the boys were basically falling asleep on their own in our room at night, so I didn't have trouble really getting them to fall asleep on their own in the room. And like I said, they were sleeping through the night pretty much consistently in our room, so they did that once they moved into their room. There were 2 nights in particular within the first week of us sleep training the boys where we had to implement the cry it out method. Now, I mentioned in a vlog that we were prepared to implement the Ferber method if we had to, which is like a modified cry it out method, and we did do the Ferber method one night with Ben, and it really just did not work for us. He would not stay asleep once I left the room, and I felt like I was going in there very frequently. And so the next night that happened, we actually let him cry it out. And I know a lot of different people have a lot of different opinions about the cry it out method, but it really worked for us. We did it one night with Ben and he never woke up in the middle of the night and cried again, and we did it one night with Jack and he never woke up in the middle of the night and cried again. And since they've been in their room, it's been about a month, I believe. Yeah, a month that they've been in their room. We've only had 2 rough nights, and it was those 2 rough nights in the first week. The boys have consistently slept through the nights, and they sleep until sometimes late as 7 o'clock. It really is between 6:30 and 7 that they're waking up. And I think that has to do with the fact that their room is nice and dark with their curtains, so the light is not coming in and waking them up. And they are just sleeping so much better, and they're definitely waking up like so extremely happy. It's the best feeling in the world when I go in their room and they are just smiling and giggling at me and so happy to start their day. So it really started to get easy once they started sleeping through the night, but definitely ever since we put them in their own room, it has just been so nice for Harris and I to have our bedroom back, to be able to watch TV in our room, to be able to have friends over and stay up late. I got to stay up past like 10 o'clock this past weekend, and it was so nice to not have to worry about having to wake up in the middle of the night, or not have to worry about, oh, what time are they going to wake up in the morning, because they're consistently making it until 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, which is so nice. So then that happened, and the newest thing that has happened with sleep training them is that we actually transitioned them out of their swaddle. The boys have started to show slight signs that they're going to roll over, even though that they haven't rolled over yet, but it's recommended to stop swaddling your baby once they start showing signs of rolling over. And the boys were growing out of their Swallow Me swaddles. We used them from about 6 or 7 weeks until they were like 16 or 17 weeks. So they definitely got very big, and they were starting to outgrow them. So we did buy sleep sacks. I know Halo, I think, trademarked the whole sleep sack thing, if I am remembering correctly. But I purchased sleep sacks from Burt's Bees, and those are just like wearable blankets basically that zip up on them. I can't show you them right now because the boys are sleeping in them. They nap in them and they sleep in them at night. But I will insert a photo or a little video here of them in it so you guys can see what I'm talking about. And I absolutely love those, and the boys love those as well. So that's basically everything. I feel like I was kind of all over the place, but I think you pretty much get the gist that, you know, sleep in the beginning is pretty easy because that's just what they do. And it's kind of once they grow out of that super fresh stage that they, or at least my babies, did go through a bit of a hiccup. And like I said, no one baby was a better sleeper than the other. I feel like they were pretty consistent with their sleep, and we were able to get the boys on a good schedule, because if one baby woke up in the middle of the night to eat, we did wake the other one to eat as well. And I think that's a really great technique to use if you do have multiples, to keep them on the same schedule with eating. So I never woke them to eat in the middle of the night, but if one did wake and want to eat, I did wake the other just so they were on the same schedule, and that really worked for us. We never had one baby that was waking up more and eating than the other one. They were always doing it together. So I think that's why they were able to really form the same kind of sleep habits, because we kept everything consistent with the both of them. And like I said, I woke up one morning and it was 7 o'clock in the morning. Both of them had slept through the night that first night that they slept through the night. Not one baby woke up. And I feel like maybe earlier on, one baby could have been ready to sleep through the night, but because the other one woke up, we had to wake that other baby up to eat. So one baby could have been ready to sleep through the night more so than another, but we just don't know if that's the case because we always woke the other one up to eat. But once they both started sleeping through the night and showing that they could do it, it's been super consistent ever since. And it's pretty consistent with who wakes up in the morning. Sometimes one baby will wake up before the other one, or vice versa. It really just depends, but they go down at the same time at night, and they pretty much sleep until the same time in the morning, give or take, you know, a few minutes or so. So, like I said, I feel like I was a little bit all over the place, but I think you guys get the general gist of things. And the few products that I've mentioned, the Taking Care of Babies class, the Swallow Me swaddles, and the Burt's Bees swaddles, I absolutely love. Other things that Harris and I use to get the boys to sleep, I definitely recommend a sound machine. We use the Hatch Baby Rest sound machine, and I absolutely loved it. When the boys actually moved into their own room and they took the sound machine with them, I missed sleeping with the sound machine. Even as an adult, you sleep so much better with the sound machine. The whole white noise thing is so relaxing. So sound machine I recommend. Blackout blinds I definitely recommend to keep the sun from peeking in so you can avoid those early morning wakings. And the boys do use a pacifier sometimes. It really depends. Sometimes the babies don't want it. Sometimes only one baby wants it. But I use the Bibs pacifiers for them. And like I said, sometimes they take them and sometimes they don't. I do want to mention quickly that I did breastfeed the boys, and I exclusively breastfed until they were 8 weeks old. And then they actually started to get formula at night and in the middle of the night, just because I felt like it was a little heavier than my breast milk. And they were only getting breast milk the first feeding of the day, and that lasted until they were 13 weeks old. And ever since they were 13 weeks, they're exclusively breastfed. And at about 15 weeks maybe, they started to eat solid. So just in case you guys were wondering what our eating schedule was, they were eating 3 hours at a time, or every 3 hours, pretty consistently for the first month. But then, like I said, we dropped the dream feed, they made it to 2 a.m, then they dropped the 2 a.m. feed, they made it to 4 a.m, and then they dropped the 4 a.m. feed, and now they eat at like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. I think that is everything. Like I said, I'm so hot and so flustered. I feel like I'm just rambling just so I can get out of this room and go stand in front of an AC. But I hope this video was informative or helpful. If you guys have multiples, hopefully you try the technique of, you know, trying to keep them on the same schedule with waking the second baby in the middle of the night. If you do have a newborn, or like I said, if you have a 3 to 4 month old or even a 5-month-old to a 24-month-old, Kara has great resources for you, whether you decide to buy the classes or just use the resources that are on her Instagram. This is not sponsored. I just absolutely live by what she has taught me, even though at the time during that 6 to 10 week period I felt like I was failing. In hindsight now, I look back and I can see how her newborn sleep class really helped to set up a great sleep foundation for the boys. And there's a whole section, I think, in the newborn sleep class that talks about multiples and like getting them on the same schedule, and I implemented those things as well. So I think that's it. If you guys have any questions about sleep, products I talked about, anything, I always respond to comments as quickly as I can, so definitely leave your questions down below and I will answer them for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and with that being said, I'm sorry for rambling, I'm sorry for being red and sweaty and for the noise outside, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.